What is
You
that
might
one?
have to
That's a
kind of
different
dump it.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that one.
Oh,
That one looks really scary. Welcome to Owen Dunn's Last Ditch Effort. My name is Owen Dunn. On this episode, we had Erin Mills. She's the director of the Cockrell Butterfly Center at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. She brought several of her, colleagues with her. Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and there was one. It was a cave roach. It made me very uncomfortable. Enjoy the episode. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section, and enjoy. How does one get into what you do?
well, I stumbled upon it in college, actually. I was just a general biology major, sort of pre-med, pre-vet. I really wanted to be a veterinarian, but I really had a love and appreciation for all animals. And bugs, I really didn't like them particularly, but they did not ever freak me out. So I've never met a bug that makes me, gives me the willies or anything like that. So I stumbled upon an entomology class, and I was signing up for classes. I had actually never heard of entomology. I didn't know there was a whole study of insects available in college.
Yeah, like a whole branch of just bugs.
That's
like,
a thing.
Yeah.
So I decided to try it out, and it blew my mind. I mean, you grow up with such a limited knowledge of other animal groups, different types of invertebrates and things, just thinking, oh, it's just a bug. Yeah, I know it has 6 legs or whatever. I know the ones that people don't like, but you have really limited knowledge about them. So it really was cool.
Yeah.
It just really fascinated me. So I started to kind of stack my schedule with as many entomology classes as I could until I finally, about halfway through my time at Texas A&M, I just decided I'm just going to switch my major to entomology.
That's cool.
Back then it was a little not as well-known field,
right.
Really academic.
Mm-hmm.
So but there are more and more job opportunities, and there are more things like what we have at the Museum of Natural Science. Butterfly houses and insect zoos are opening all over the country. So it's starting to become, a lot more well-known field and a lot more attainable for someone who just graduates with a bachelor's degree or something like that and doesn't want to stay in academia. So anyway, I found myself in Houston and at the Butterfly Center, and I've been there 14 years, and it's just magical. It's
That's
a
awesome.
really great place to be.
That's really cool. Yeah, I always enjoy going there, and I'm always amazed at if y'all haven't been there, it's like a big, I say biodome, but that's probably not the right term for it because biodome self-sustain. Does it self-sustain itself, or do you have to you kind of water the plants?
It's not. Yeah, no. We have to do a lot of manipulation, inside. Watering plants, fertilizing, keeping everything kind of balanced as well as we can. So yeah, I wouldn't call it that, but it's just it's a conservatory.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I was reading your bio, I was doing a little research, and it said that you actually got into extermination for a little while. Mm-hmm. So you were like, okay, I know exactly how to kill them. So I'm the perfect killer.
No, that was a desperation. I'm out of college and I need to make money.
Yeah. And you know a lot about him. So, right.
Yeah. My very first job out of college was selling coffee.
Yeah.
Really weird, but just trying to get a job.
Like door-to-door coffee?
No, it was like a commercial coffee company.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, cool.
to businesses and offices and things like
cool.
that.
Yeah.
But I got out of that as quickly as I could,
and
just to kind of get my claws into some sort of
just working
degree-related
field.
I applied to ABC Pest Pool and Lawn.
Yeah, so did I.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Except I didn't get accepted because I couldn't drive a manual.
Oh,
I couldn't drive manual, so they didn't accept me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I was a sales representative, so
okay.
I got to I did the home visits.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was eye-opening. I really don't retain any of the information about killing them because that's not what I was there for. I was really there to see if I could use my knowledge. And really, it was detrimental to me as a salesperson because I'd go in and they're like, well, we just have these roaches. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need,
no, it's not a big deal. You
don't
actually
need to have
any
this
of this.
guy come spray chemical. Everyone has roaches sometimes.
Right.
You guys are fine. Your house is clean. I also got to see the kind of, sad world of, kind of hoarders and really major cockroach and other insect infestations, and kind of, so it was a little eye-opening.
Yeah.
But one of my main things that was my responsibility, because we were assigned areas, and my area was inside the loop, which is great. I live here, but lots of pier and beam houses, lots of crawling under houses for me to do termite inspections. Yeah. So I've crawled under a lot of houses in, in this part of Houston.
Okay, so now I have a question, because I was thinking about this. So you get home, there's a roach in your house. What do you do? Have you ever had, do people ask you this? Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I catch it with my hands and I let it go outside. Okay. And usually my husband will give me, a countdown or something if it's too much. And if he's very patient with bugs, and he's had to kind of, squash his instinct to kill things, because I really, and all my friends know, don't kill anything, any bugs in front of Erin. No. Did you know? Do you know her?
Yeah.
But
okay, cool.
So yeah, I rescue it, and then now even my kids know. It's like, oh, so and so squished a bug. I'm like,
I see. Okay, so I was like, do you take it to work, and then you put, you're like, oh cool, no. I can take this to work, or you name it, or
I really believe strongly that things belong in their natural habitat.
Sure.
So we keep only really exotic things at the Butterfly Center, things that we can't release back into the wild.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll keep native things just to show people the kind of cool stuff that we have here.
Like locally, you're like, hey, this is probably what you've seen around here, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, but for the most part, I'm kind of a let it be.
Okay.
Let it live. Let it be happy.
Yeah, I try to do that sometimes, depending on my patience level.
How much it startles you.
How much it startles me, or my
it's
fiance,
at night or in the morning.
Yeah, if
before coffee, after coffee.
Yeah, if I'm in then it's kind of a game time decision whether or not we actually, and so I guess to get into a little bit into butterflies, we actually we saved a whole bunch last year, the year before during the freeze. Someone had planted milkweed in our apartment complex, so we had actually the freeze killed them all, and then so we picked up all the caterpillars as we could, and then all the milkweed was dead, so we didn't have any. So we gave them. We read online that you can give them sweet potato. Is that right?
Yeah,
probably not the preferred.
It's something that'll kind of
sustain
them for a small amount of time. Yeah.
So that we try, especially butterfly. I imagine people try to lean towards saving the pretty bugs as opposed to the not as pretty looking ones, I imagine, right? So
right.
But I was reading a little bit too about it, because I was like, ooh, I want to help. Who doesn't want butterflies in their yard or in their area, correct? But I was reading that if it can actually be a detriment if you plant some non-native milkweed species. Is that correct? Kind of ish, because it sets off their migration or something like that.
No, I mean there's a whole lot surrounding the whole Monarch saga, if you will. So milkweed, is a big issue. There's native and there's tropical milkweed. Tropical milkweed is a great plant. It's really great for our area. It's great for other pollinators like bees and wasps and all sorts of things like it. But one of the issues has been that since it's a tropical plant, it doesn't die back in the winter. It just persists. As long as it doesn't freeze, it's just going to keep on growing. Some people have this theory that if the monarchs are migrating through and they find an abundance of milkweed, that they'll stay. There's really no one who can say, yes, this is true or not true. But, most people believe that it's a migratory monarch, it's going to migrate. So, because what monarchs do when they are getting ready to migrate, when they emerge from their chrysalis, they're already knowing that they're going to migrate because, by day length and temperature and, little environmental cues happening around them. So they put themselves into a reproductive diapause, meaning they won't mate and they won't lay eggs. And they fly straight to Mexico, making few stops to rest, drink water, drink nectar on the way. Now, over the years, and with climate change and whatever else may be going on in the environment, the Gulf Coast has built up a local population that is non-migratory. So it's a stationary population. So what I think what happens is that we just have the two populations, and I don't think anyone can say for sure, like, well, we're adding more from the migratory population to our non-migratory population.
Right.
But if you're concerned, what you can do is just cut back your milkweed in the fall, around the time of migration. And milkweed, and especially in our really mild climate, you know, it will just grow back, and it'll probably grow back during the winter.
Yeah.
And then you'll have still food to feed the local monarchs that are here during the winter.
Gotcha.
But at the time where it's kind of sensitive and the migrants are going through, then they won't find the food. But
Yeah.
another thing about the tropical milkweed is that it tends to harbor a pest. It's a protozoan parasite called OE. And since it doesn't lose its leaves like the native milkweed does, which actually my native milkweed has not died back the last 2 winters because it hasn't been, I mean,
It hasn't
it's
really
like,
been cold, right?
So it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't even matter really
Right.
a native or, I mean, but anyway, if the leaves kind of, you know, stay on there for a long time, they can build up a heavy load of these spores from this parasite, you know, making it easier for the butterflies to become infected. So it's just a good habit to cut back your milkweed, you know, at least in the fall and maybe in the spring too, and a few times a year just to encourage new growth. So you're getting rid of
And
those spores.
you're not supposed to, of course, put pesticide on your milkweed,
Right,
Because
you don't
that
wanna
would
do
be
that.
pretty bad. So that was my problem. I didn't spray it, but mine got web worms or something like that. So it just wrapped the whole plant in webs, and I didn't know what to do with that. I was just kind of like, well, I guess this is kind of done because I didn't want to spray it. So I sprayed, like, I run on the internet. You spray like dish detergent or something on it. That didn't seem, it worked a little bit, but they just kept coming back.
Yeah, there are other things that eat that plant, you know, so moths, like
Right.
that. So that would be like a moth caterpillar.
I was trying to encourage ladybugs because there was aphids on it too. So I was trying to
Yeah.
encourage ladybugs to come, and then you can online, on Amazon, you can buy boxes of ladybugs.
Yep, we do that.
You buy, okay, I was like,
Yeah,
this
on
doesn't.
Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, this
it's
doesn't even
easy.
sound legit. Yeah, so you can buy boxes of like thousands of ladybugs, and then, I mean, I only have 2 plants, so I wasn't gonna buy like 1,000. Just dump them all. On.
Yeah, and then it's like sometimes you dump them and they're like, bye.
Yeah, I was like, you can't really guarantee that they're gonna stick around and do their job.
Yeah.
So
It's best to just kind of wait for them to come to you because they will.
Right.
My milkweed, I'll go out there and find any number of predators on there, all kinds of lacewings and ladybugs and syrphid fly larvae, which are these really weird like slug-looking guys, but they're like a fly larva that eats aphids. So lots of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I try to encourage people to, you know, butterflies are beautiful and they really draw you in. They're sort of like the ambassadors of the insect world,
Right.
but just kind of have an open mind and get to know more about insects in general and be open to, well, I planted this plant for the butterflies. Well, you're not just going to get the butterflies,
Right.
and then you're going to get things that eat the butterflies. And I mean, you're creating a whole
like
little
ecosystem,
micro ecosystem
off
there.
that one plant.
So to just kind of be like, hey, you want to eat the milkweed? You eat the milkweed.
Yeah, everybody, whoever gets there first and takes it over.
You ate
is
the
kinda
monarch
your-
caterpillar. Well, good for you. You got to feed your family. You know,
Right.
it's kind of like a lot of people tend to get, oh, my butterflies, but you know, they're not the most important thing out there. I mean, it's a balance, you know, and
Right.
everything is really necessary to keep. That's like, you know, just like a microcosm of the entire environment. Everything has a part in it. So
Okay, so that's a good lead into the next question here, which is if we just wiped out all the mosquitoes, would anybody care? Would anybody miss the mosquitoes?
that's another sort of, I mean, we wouldn't, you know,
Right.
initially, of course.
Right.
That's another kind of like hot topic of debate because there are some scientists who say, no, you know, we could do without them.
Right.
You know, they're, you know, you'll go down the food chain and you hit, well, this certain kind of fish maybe feeds off of only
Right.
mosquito larvae. So, and then if that fish dies, then this frog or this bigger fish is going to die. And so, yeah, some scientists think that, you know, they have an important place, just like everything else in the food chain, and you don't want to ever completely eliminate
Right.
any one part of it. But
Bats too,
then
right? Bats eat the mosquitoes, I guess. kind of.
Sometimes bats are more into like moths and kind
Meaty.
of yeah.
Some,
So
yeah.
they'll eat some mosquitoes, but like dragonflies are really good mosquito eaters.
Really? I never think of them as.
Yeah.
I don't know what I thought they ate, but I don't know, plants or something. I don't know what.
No, they're voracious predators.
Really?
Man, they're pretty badass. Yeah.
Really?
They catch things like in mid-flight, and they can fly backwards and upside down, and they're super fast. They're really cool, and they've got big jaws.
Okay, so yeah, now this makes me remember in like elementary school, this kid said he got bit by a dragonfly, and we were like, "You didn't get bit by a dragonfly,"
bite you.
but he got bit. You're saying it could have been possible? Wow.
For sure,
well,
yeah. I'm sure it can break the skin.
Oh my gosh.
They're like almost like a flying like praying mantis or something. Well, without the cool.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching, I apologize that I made fun of you for getting bit by a dragonfly when you really.
We believe you now.
Yeah, we believe you now. Now I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's hard. That's one of those things that's hard to say.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to kind of do a lot to try to eliminate some of the disease harboring mosquitoes, but there are actually some mosquitoes out there that are not really harmful to people.
Right.
In fact, there's a species of mosquito that feeds only on other mosquitoes, and we actually have those in the Butterfly Center.
Oh wow.
And they're sort of like a big species, and they're sort of iridescent. They're really cool looking, and they are a true mosquito, but they don't ever take a blood meal, so both male and female only drink nectar, and their larvae, they lay their larvae in standing water where other smaller mosquito species are, so the larvae will feed on the other mosquito larvae.
So those mosquito hawk, people say mosquito hawks, but that's a different, that doesn't eat anything. It's a fly.
Yeah,
that's
I see that on fly.
Yeah, I've
already seen one in my house. They're usually like the first big things, because there are a lot of things that don't go away in the winter. But the first insect that kind of comes out, and you'll start seeing them everywhere, and they're very clumsy, and their legs fall off, and they get trapped in the house. And I had one in my bathroom. I was like, a cranefly already? It's February. Oh well.
My cats are like,
yeah,
see something like it looks like so you just see it just kind of bumping around, and they'll just stay there for hours, and you'll look back and it's gone. You're like, where did it go? And it's just like bumping across the roof.
They're kind of like a detritivore, and then they feed on nectar, and they don't eat anything. They're not predatory.
And they live like a day or something, right? Or how long do they live? They don't live very long?
They probably have not a very long, I mean, maybe a week or a couple weeks.
Gotcha, okay.
A lot of the adult form of the insect is really only meant to reproduce. So sometimes the adult form can be pretty fleeting. So as soon as they're able to mate and lay eggs, then they're done. It takes pretty much all their strength and nutrition to do all that, and then they're just like, okay,
wow,
my life is over.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done. Wow. Okay. So, but I imagine bats would like to eat those, probably. Probably. Okay. Because they're a little meatier, I guess. They seem like a big target.
Yeah, but I think mostly moths are kind of like one of their main types of prey.
They're probably out around the same time too, so that makes sense. Yeah, I could probably get full off some moths. Let's see. Okay, so there's another one I wanted to talk about, and this has been scaring me for years. I don't know. And tell me if you know anything about it. It's the Chaga kissing bug. Okay, so this bug, I thought I got bit by one like a few years ago. And I don't know, because they're here in Texas. I'm reading about it. And everybody talks about mosquitoes and stuff, but this Chaga bug really freaks me out because, and this is from what I've read on the internet, is that it bites you and then 10 years later you die.
Oh, wow.
It's that it like sits inside of you and then you just mysteriously die and they don't know what happened.
I don't know a whole ton about the
like body
the disease,
chemistry, right? Yeah, the disease part of it,
but it can lay dormant in your body for a long time, but it's not going to necessarily kill you, but it can cause just bad symptoms, and it's a chronic disease, and I guess there's not a cure for it.
They say if you again from the internet, if you catch it early and then you get some like parasite killing medicine in you, it can kill it.
Yeah. But it's mostly so it's Central and South America, a bug, a true bug, a hemipteran, like kind of related to assassin bugs and stink bugs, that is native to Central and South America and has made it up. I mean, I think just isolated incidents so far, and it's mostly a problem in like developing areas and places with poor hygiene / sanitation, or not very well sealed buildings and homes, because it's really they come in the house and a lot of times they bite people in their sleep, and
They
people,
could on your face specifically is what I heard. Is that they crawl on your face at night?
Yeah, they're called a kissing bug because
Yeah.
they might go for your lips because that's a good place to get blood or whatever.
Yeah.
And they can only infect you because they'll defecate, and then when that gets into the wound, and then that's where the parasite. I don't think it's anything that the everyday person should worry about.
Yeah, good. Okay,
it's
good.
a pretty large bug.
Yeah, I feel like I would feel that on my face probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say.
Depends on how hard you sleep, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to have like numbing, agents that it can,
kind of like a mosquito.
like bed bugs too. Bed bugs, when they bite you, they inject like a
numbing sort of, so you
can't
don't
think
feel
of these scientific words right now.
Yeah.
but yeah, that kind of numbs the area so they can sit there and feed
like
without
an anesthetic.
Yeah, yeah.
But I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those words like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Wow.
a lot. Yeah, we have a lot of related bugs, but it's not something. Yeah, it's just. I mean,
Yeah.
I just can't see it be something that just you kind of stumble upon by accident.
Right.
They're kind of noticeable.
Okay. So a minute ago you said true bug. Mm-hmm. What is like a true, like what's just like a bug and a true bug, or is there like an insect and a bug? Is there?
Yeah, well, the term bug kind of gets thrown around just to kind of encompass everything that's a creepy crawly animal.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes we even drag in like, roly-polies or worms or, anything that's creepy and crawly and lives outside, basically. But, when you're talking about the arthropods. Okay, so arthropods is the scientific name for the phylum, I guess, which includes insects, arachnids, crustaceans, centipedes, millipedes, all of the things that we consider bugs. And then they're broken up into, of course, there's insects, arachnids, and so based on their characteristics. Within insects, there's different orders. So butterflies and moths are in order, grasshoppers and crickets are in order, bees and ants and wasps. So they're all kind of separated into these little groups, and there's one order called true bugs. And that's just their name. They're bugs. And so these are things like stink bugs, assassin bugs, cicadas, aphids, things like that. They have, certain type of mouth parts. And without
going too deep into it, there's a whole.
So there's a scientifically correct time to use the word bug,
right?
And entomologically correct. But people just throw the term bug.
Like,
around
that's a bug. Oh, look at that bug. But it's
it's a bug.
Gotcha. Okay.
You got a bug on you. It's a bug.
Well, now I know. I'm gonna look that up and be like, I'm gonna call people. I'm gonna be like that, like the grammar police, where you're like, actually, that's not a bug. That's actually an arachnid.
There you go.
Yeah. Right. That
correct
was,
terminology.
Yeah. There we go. See.
Learning.
I'm learning. This is why I do this, so I can learn a little bit more. Let's see. So we got the chaga kissing bug. There's some questions that I was like, what's a good question to ask? So I looked at the internet and I was like, okay, what's a good question to ask? And I was like, oh, these are pretty good and I didn't look up the answer either. So I was like, I'm gonna let, but they should be pretty easy, I think. So do bugs feel pain?
The short answer is no.
No? Okay.
So they feel stimuli, that kind of will let them know that their body has been damaged. But it's not, they don't have like the nerve sensations the way we do. So they won't be like, oh, I'm hurting.
Right.
And they have a major like self-preservation instinct, so they do what they can to avoid injury. But the general consensus is that no, we don't think that they feel pain in the way that we do.
Gotcha. Okay. So they're not like
they're driven by
screaming.
No.
Like if you smash them, like, oh my god. Like
no. I mean, in fact, when you're working with these big exotic things and some of them will sustain some sort of injury somehow from each other or whatever, and you're like, you go in and you're like, you have half a body, but you're just
you're still kind
pretending like nothing is wrong with
Right.
you. That kind of stuff happens a lot. Just like, I want to put you in the freezer because I just don't think that you're not going to live for very much longer. So
you're just still living your life
just
and you're not even aware that
do their thing. They'll be like half smushed or, it's really bizarre. It's really crazy. But they're definitely instinct driven and driven by reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
So, they know their goal in life is to get there to get through their life cycle, to find a mate, to lay eggs, and
Gotcha.
then whatever happens to me happens.
So, so I would never do this, but if someone was to like when you spray a bug with a roach,
Mm-hmm.
a roach with a spray, and then it like freaks out. It's not because it's
No, it's just because its body is experiencing, like the effects of the poison. Like it's not able to breathe, or
Okay.
it's, whatever,
right.
whatever that
yeah,
may be.
it's not like
So it's reacting and maybe convulsing, but it's kind of involuntary,
Okay.
sort of just reacting to what's going on in its
Gotcha.
body.
Okay.
Typically,
cool. All right. So
still makes me sad.
it is kind of now you're making me feel bad.
Even though
it.
I know that they're not the same as us, and I really anthropomorphize like everything, and so I'm always like, God, I'd hate to drown, or I'd hate to suffocate, or so I'm still very
Right.
very careful with any little creature I come in contact
That's
with.
that's a good thing though. I think more people should be like that overall.
Yeah, just think about
When
how
I-
would you like that?
Right. Well, and I started doing this, and I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, but after rain, my whole sidewalk would be full of snails,
Mm-hmm.
and I would try to step over as many as I could because I was like, they don't need to get
Yeah,
it,
and it's
just
gross.
being a little more careful.
Yeah.
Just to not smush them. It's not, every once in a while you do get one, and I would be like,
Yeah.
oh, I would feel that little,
Sorry.
that little pop
It's
sound. They
okay.
make a sound.
I've done that too by accident. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I try to be conscious of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's half the battle, where you're like, this is still
Yeah.
it's still alive. It may not. I don't know if you believe they have a soul or anything, but it's still alive and it deserves to be.
Just a being, just or an animal. We're all animals.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more evolved, but
Right.
we're all just we're all the same, just trying to survive
Right.
on this planet
Right.
together.
Right. I think
So,
that's fair. So
Mm-hmm.
that's good. Do bugs sleep?
again, not really in the sense where we sleep,
Mm-hmm.
but they rest. So they have resting periods, and because they can't close their eyes, they don't have eyelids, so you would never really be able to tell if an insect is sleeping or not. They're kind of like fish, I
Yeah.
guess.
They
in
don't
that
like
sense.
curl like lay.
No, there are some actually. There are. Well, one that comes to mind. We get these really cool things called velvet ants, and it's a type of wasp. It's flightless. The females are flightless, and they're big, and they're kind of fuzzy and like red and black, and so it looks like a big fuzzy ant. So that's why we call them a velvet ant. They're really adorable. They're supposed to have one of the most painful stings.
Yeah, I think I remember that from.
But again, we usually don't handle them, but you kind of can without being stung. Anyway, I'm not gonna try that. But they like lay down and like kind of curl up when they're sleeping or resting. So a lot of times, if we have them on display and someone's servicing them, they're like, "Oh no!" But you just like kind of
You just
poke at
kinda
them, and then
goes
they'll
to sleep.
yeah,
And they have velvet blanket. They just kind of because they're all velvety. Yeah.
they're really cute.
Interesting.
So
I never thought about them not having eyelids. I guess it's not something I.
yeah, so
Never
and then
thought
of
of.
course they all have different cycles, and some are nocturnal. They have to be kind of on alert all the time because they're kind of at the bottom of the food chain. So yeah, they kind of slow their body processes down and they rest and they'll be still, but not exactly the way we sleep.
Right. I guess then they don't dream.
I don't think so. Although
That's
I
my
would
follow
know.
up is do they dream
I would not know. I would love to talk to them, but
about their
we haven't got there yet.
yeah. Okay. And I've never seen this before, but I guess it makes it. Do bugs have? Well, I'm using bugs. I wrote bugs on here, but that's not
okay.
correct.
I still say that sometimes.
Yeah. Do bugs have blood?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Yeah, it's called hemolymph.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not it's not made. They don't have hemoglobin,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't have red blood. So their blood is yellowy green, white, kind of different types of colors, but they do have blood. And it just kind of sloshes around in their body. They have an open circulatory system, so they don't have veins and stuff. It's just kind of all in there.
That weirds me out.
Yeah. They're little, I mean, they're not terribly different from us, but they're different.
They're different. Okay. So they don't have, I guess, veins, right? It's just, so it's like almost like a candy
they have
shell, like a...
This guy's trying to come out and say hi. So if you were to dissect one, you would see, their blood is kind of just all in there, kind of in between and everything. And you'd see they have organs and everything, and they have muscles, but they don't have, veins. So their blood just kind of floats around their body, kind of in between different regions. They do have a heart, but it just kind of forces their blood, kind of back and forth throughout their body.
Okay. I envision it like a Cadbury egg, where it's just like or an egg, I guess.
Yeah.
Like a hard shell, and then there's just stuff.
Pretty soft
stuff
on the
in
inside.
there.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff on the inside. They're actually kind of interesting to dissect. They have a digestive system. They have a, excretory system.
So they have organs-ish, like a heart, and then there's, I guess, because then I imagine the food just, I don't know why I thought this. The food goes in and then it just kind of floats around in there.
No,
and then it
they
kind
do
of
have
goes.
a closed, like, sort of digestive system.
Okay, but
so
everything else is just.
Yeah, so they have like
there.
a stomach, and they have sort of like a hind gut, which is like their intestines, and they have excretory organs, that kind of help them to absorb nutrients throughout their body and also, get rid of the waste.
Okay. So I was thinking about something that you brought up a second ago, because you brought up crustaceans. And this may be out of your realm, but so is a crawfish a bug?
Yeah, so a
'Cause they say
crawfish
mud
is a
bugs.
crustacean.
Right.
Yeah, so crustaceans are arthropods. So, I mean, there's really not much difference between a crustacean, a lobster, a crab, a shrimp, a crawfish, and a cockroach. Really just the number of legs it has, the number of, its body arrangement. They have a slightly harder exoskeleton.
Right.
And they live in the ocean, so they get that kind of salty.
Right. The flavor. Okay.
But I think when actually I was in high school, I read this really long, like, Dave Barry article about how when you are eating lobster, this luxurious and exquisite meal, you're basically eating like a giant cockroach.
Because I see that pop around, because people are like, oh, I don't eat those. They're like, it's like
Yes,
a
you
bug.
do.
And I was like, oh, so that's a really expensive bug to eat.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. It's in the same group.
Because I was in denial about it, because you look at them and you're like, oh, that's kind of a bug.
Yeah, it's a bug. It's totally a bug.
Wow. So we just ruined crawfish season for everyone. I'm still going to eat them. I think.
Yeah.
So,
they still taste good.
Right. So I'm wondering now, I'll have a chef on and we can ask if you could take a roach and prepare it similarly. Well, because they don't have meat though, right? Because these don't have meat.
Yeah, roaches are, they're a little different. I'm honestly not sure about why it is that, the lobsters and what their meat is made out of, or, what makes them so much more appetizing than a cockroach, because a cockroach would be really gross.
Right.
Yeah, but their diet is really not that different. Like a crawfish is basically, it's a detritivore. I mean, they eat pretty much anything.
Picks up off the ground, anything, right?
So it's a good question. I'm not sure, like, what makes this one taste good and this one taste nasty, and if it's just really a difference in their habitat, or maybe their musculature, because of living in the water.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I have no idea.
Right. I guess it's like a difference between a moth and a mayfly to a bat. It's just more meat on it, so we like that. Huh. Well, that kind of freaks me out.
They have that sort of, like, buttery taste with different insects, because a lot of people eat lots of different types of insects or sample
Right.
them.
At the museum, they have like more
We do a lot
meal
of-
bugs or something like that.
Yeah, we have our vending machine where you can buy the mealworms or the crickets, but they're just, they're just sort of like, you just kind of like saute them and it cooks out. I mean, it's really just, you're almost just eating their exoskeleton. There's not anything left to them. And then you just put a bunch of flavoring on them and it just tastes like that. But I've heard certain things like cicadas maybe like taste like green apples or something. People say like all kinds of weird stuff like
I guess
that.
because they eat something.
Sap.
Sap.
They pretty much drink tree sap all day long. So maybe they do have like a sweeter taste
It kind of
to
sweetens them up a little bit.
them. So yeah, I'm sure it depends heavily on their diet and then their environment that they live in and their sort of locomotion that they do. I mean, sort of like birds, like birds that fly are leaner, I guess.
Yeah.
And birds that,
But
Huh.
I
don't know. Yeah,
Well, that
really
just kind of-
interesting.
That kind of freaked me out a little bit because I do like crawfish, but
It's okay. You can still like them. This may be the food of the future. Maybe not these, but
Yeah,
but insects.
well, I do watch a lot of Naked and Afraid, those kinds of shows, and then they end up eating stuff like this. So I imagine if it came down to it, you just have to get used to eating
Yep.
bugs. And there's a lot of them, so you probably wouldn't run out anytime soon, right?
Exactly. It's a great option. You just have to think about which ones you can and can't.
I guess because some are
Poisonous.
poisonous, yeah. So I wonder how they figured that out. Well, let's get to these because you brought along, these are
Yeah.
Madagascar hissing cockroach. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can see them very well, but you can take one out. Yeah, so these are only found in Madagascar. Of course, they're sort of like lemurs. It's an isolated island, and these guys can't swim.
Ah.
So they're not going anywhere else. But they're just one of like over 4,000 different species of cockroaches that are, kind of found worldwide. And a lot of people just don't really, you think about cockroaches and all you think about is the pests. But out of those, more than 4,000, there's only about 12 or so species that are considered pests and actually, get into associated with human dwellings and things like that.
Gotcha.
So these are sort of like a forest cockroach. Most of them live out in the forest. They don't bother anybody.
They don't have wings either, so I think
These
that
don't have any wings.
so that makes them a little
Yep.
more appealing, I think, to a general public.
Yeah, they're really bulky and slow moving.
Yeah, these I feel like I could touch one and not be
Yeah.
freaked out by it.
I mean, it kind of feels like a turtle shell.
Ugh, it moved. Okay. I didn't mean to you, but it freaked me out that it
Oh,
moved.
and that one is hissing. Oh,
Oh my gosh.
so let me see if I can. Oh, come here.
Yeah, see,
Hopefully, it's picked that up a little
it
bit.
probably did.
They don't hiss often. I have to kind of do a search. We have a really huge aquarium with like hundreds in there, because they're very prolific. So this is just a little box that we take out for outreach and stuff like that. And so I'll go hunting in the big aquarium and just touching them to see which one will hiss. And then once they've been in here long enough, they just stop hissing because it's like a threatened, threat response. So they will force air out of their bodies.
Okay.
They have little breathing holes in their bodies, like all insects do. Actually, breathe through their abdomen and their thorax through these little holes. And so a couple of them are shaped so that when they force the air out, it just makes that
It
hissing
makes it a
noise.
little louder, yeah. Or
It's
do some
kinda-
make louder ones because they have bigger holes, air like blowholes, or
I think it
something?
depends on the force of the air. So
Uh-huh.
how it's like, just like how we would, make it louder or
Right.
quieter. Probably the size of the cockroach. The bigger cockroaches are able to take a bigger breath. So they just kind of sound like a snake.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like a defense mechanism. So
Okay.
sound like a bigger, more formidable foe than just a little cockroach.
Right. It's yeah. I
This
guess I
guy's
like a
just
snake. I guess I will try to hold one. I don't want to.
This is probably a good one.
He seems kind of chill.
He'll probably just kind of ball up in your hand.
You can see it. Yeah, he's kind of chill.
Yeah, he's just like, don't eat me or kill me.
Do you think he knows? I guess he knows that he's in a hand.
Well,
right now, or
yeah, I guess so.
he probably
It's
knows
kinda
that
hard to-
something is holding him. I imagine.
Yeah, or he's just on some sort of unfamiliar sort of. I mean, these do get handled a lot, so yeah, they've probably
They're-
kind of come to
Right.
know the
Yeah, they're like, I'm probably not
sensation
going
of
to get eaten at this
being
point.
in someone's
Yeah.
hand.
Wow.
And they have really different personalities. I mean, as hard as it is to believe, you know, different insects react differently to different situations, and some are calmer and some are crazier. You know,
Yeah.
just like people or dogs or
Yeah, they all
whatever.
have their, because there's so many, I imagine too, that they all, out of the, how many roaches would you say there are in like around? Billions?
Yeah.
Billions?
Yeah, probably.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, I mean, they all, in the wild, they may act more uniform, you know, because they like to be together in groups. They're not social like bees or ants because they don't work together necessarily, and they don't divide up tasks, and they kind of, you know, fend for themselves, but they're gregarious, so they seek out others to live with, and they make group decisions. So if you know, if the majority of the group is saying we need to go this way, you know, it's safer, then, you know, they're all gonna follow.
Yeah,
So.
okay. I'm going to put him back in now.
Go ahead, yeah.
wanna-
you
What is
you
that
might
one?
have to
That's a
kind of
different
dump
one.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that one.
Oh,
Oh, that one looks really scary.
why it's scary.
I don't know why. I guess because I didn't see him.
Yeah. So this is one different species. This is called a giant cave cockroach.
And it's got wings too.
It does have wings, yeah, but it cannot fly.
Okay.
So it's just too big and heavy, and they're a little bit faster. And these
Yeah.
have kind of a smell. You know, a lot of cockroaches have a smell. They're not. You know, they can't really defend themselves, so they have little things like, you know, some of them have a defensive smell, like
Like a musk.
the one,
or-
yeah. So like the ones we have here, the American cockroaches, the big ones that get into our house, they have a smell. These have a smell. The hissing cockroaches really don't, but they have a hiss.
Yeah, that's
So
their thing.
yeah, a lot of cockroaches are mimics. So that means that they will either, you know, besides just sounding like a snake or something, they might look like another type of insect.
He is on there.
Yeah, I might need to help you. There are,
Ooh,
sorry,
there he
they
goes.
have kind of claws.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like latched on there.
There are some that look like ladybugs. There are some that are like black with these white spots. We call them domino roaches, and they look like beetles.
Yeah.
Because they're mimicking a type of beetle that has like a caustic spray that I can spray at its predators. So, so there, I mean, there's some really amazing ones out here. This one is really amazing. This is a half male, half female.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can kind of see. It would be hard for the camera to see, but you can see it's different color. You can see the line down the back.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the
Oh, gosh,
this
yeah,
is the
so-
male side, and this is the female side. So, and then the male side has like, so these are all males. You can see they have like a little bumps on their head.
Yeah, like the
Sort
two
of like
little horns. Yeah.
And then females don't have those. So she has one flat side of her head and one
Oh, okay.
one
So
little
how does
horn.
that
and then
happen? Do they just
It's just a genetic mutation. So sometime when they're forming, you know, and
They just-
dividing or whatever, it's just they're.
and it's like so literal, like it's literally
It's
split
really
down-
weird, yeah. So there's like, you know, hermaphrodites and things like that, but in the insect world, you have gynandromorphs, which is what this is called, and they're divided right down the middle. And there's butterfly, I mean, all kinds of things. And so in
Wow.
dimorphic, so what we call sexually dimorphic species, which are species where the male and female look completely different. And then like, so there will be a butterfly with like one color wings, you know, on one side, and a different, you know, they look completely different.
Wow.
So it's a mutant.
That's pretty interesting. That's
just a mutant.
it's so like literally split down the side. Okay.
Yeah, very strange.
So at the museum, you are having let's see. Oh, it just hissed.
Yeah.
It's like I guess a promotion or for Valentine's Day. You want to tell us a little bit about
So
it?
it's sort of like a fundraiser. And so for a $5 donation, basically, you can name a cockroach after whoever you want to. Can be your ex, can be your loved one, can be your mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever. And you will get a personalized certificate that you can give them. So, you know, you're kind of getting a little something, hey, like proof I named this cockroach after you.
Right.
And your roach will be, now they don't have names or anything written on them. I did that one year and I will never do that again because writing names on a cockroach is really hard.
Yeah.
So, especially because then we tried to say only short names and people were turning in these like long, elaborate names. And I was like, I am not writing that on a cockroach. But anyway, so, you know, we take the cockroaches and we put them in the Heartbreak Motel. So it's a dollhouse that they get to live in.
Well, is it different from in the museum? They have the like kitchen area.
Yeah, it's different. So that's the roach dome. The roach dome has American cockroaches in it, native cockroaches. So this is in the grand hallway of the museum, so everyone can see it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And yeah, there's these luxury accommodations until, you know, about the weekend after Valentine's Day. Now we are going to have a couple times. I believe the Thursday of Valentine's Day week, I guess that's the 13th.
I don't know my days.
Yeah.
I should know when Valentine's Day is, but I don't. I'm sorry.
For Free Thursday, so every Thursday there's a Free Thursday at the museum. So you know, you get into the permanent museum exhibits, and so we're going to be out there with the cockroaches. So if you want a little bit more of a experience, you know, kind of getting to know the roaches, you can. We'll have a table. We'll have the cockroaches out.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
you can hold them, take a picture with them, you know, whatever you want to add to the whole experience of adopting a roach or naming a roach.
Yeah. And so where does and I don't know where the money is going to go for this?
So it supports the Butterfly Center. So it goes to helping us to keep the conservatory stocked with butterflies. So we buy our butterflies from, they're all exotic and imported. So we buy them from butterfly farms around the world. And we really work with, you know, the best farms, you know, that are doing environmentally sustainable, you know, practices.
Right.
And so that they're going out and, you know, they're re-releasing, you know, mating pairs and it's actually a really great type of farming, I guess, butterfly farming, because, you know, different from subsistence farming or, you know, with crops, they don't have to clear the land. They actually have to preserve the habitat, you know, in that area. So, because the butterflies need the habitat, no butterflies, no business, you know.
So it kind of works hand in hand with the environment that they kind of.
So they go out and they
sort of area.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So they get the butterflies from, you know, from the forest, they bring them back, they mate them, they get the eggs and the babies, and ideally, you know, they let them go and they keep kind of catching and releasing the wild butterflies, and then they raise the butterflies that, you know, the offspring, and then they ship the offspring to places like us where people can see them, and so anyway, long story short, helps us to buy butterflies and support those farmers, and, you know, which helps to sustain environments.
That's
and
awesome.
You know, these high risk areas in the tropics,
Right.
you know, and purchasing plants and all the things we need to keep the butterflies alive, and helping support our educational efforts like our outreach program, where we take these guys along with lots of other really cool insects and other arthropods to schools and teach all the kids in the Houston area why they should love bugs as much as I do.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And if you haven't been to the the Cockrell Butterfly Center, it's really awesome. I recently went, probably a month ago, and it was really, really. The butterflies are amazing, and I always forget every time I go to wear bright colors, and I'm always wearing like this, and no butterfly ever lands on me, and I get really sad.
They don't take it personally. If they knew they were landing on people, they probably wouldn't ever do it. But yeah, it's an amazing place, and I spend a lot of time in my office, so sometimes I forget, you know, I'm just dealing with emails or whatever, but I just have to walk in there, and I'm like, gosh, I've been there 14 years, and it's never a dull day.
I would just move my desk in there. I would just find like an area, and I would just set up in there, and just chill in there. That was awesome.
I should.
Yeah, you should. Oh my gosh, I would be there. I'm just in a regular office. Nothing cool about that. There's a window near me, it's seriously one of the most beautiful places in Houston. You can't really get that for thousands of miles. Like it's really a unique place here in Houston.
It is, and there are so many butterflies. I mean, there's days that I walk in there, especially a sunny day. The best time to come is if it's been a little cloudy for a couple days, and it's like the first sunny day. You go in there, and the butterflies. I mean, there's just like. There's so many butterflies in here. It even takes me by surprise sometimes. I'm like, this is incredible. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere in the wild and see that. I mean, so it's really.
It is. It's really neat.
It's really amazing.
Do all the butterflies get along? Because there's so many. Do they like? Is there like drama?
There's definitely drama.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't really do much to each other, so it's not like they're really hurting each other. But they're very territorial. There are certain species of butterflies that are really territorial. And so a lot of people will come in and make comments like, "Oh, they're playing" or something, and we're like, "No, butterflies don't play." Butterflies, again, they're adult insects. They're driven by a drive to reproduce, so they're very territorial. So if they're messing with each other, they're either fighting or they're mating.
Yeah.
And so you have certain males, like blue morphos in particular. Like everyone is pretty fascinated by them. They're the really shiny blue ones.
Yeah.
They will just kind of like fly through this one area back and forth, and they'll chase away other butterflies that kind of get into their territory. So things can get a little tense with way more than the natural number of butterflies that would be in an area.
Wow.
But that's one of the advantages of the amount of space that we have and the height that we have. So we can accommodate butterflies that, because butterflies don't all live in the same layer of the rainforest. There are some that are more like canopies, some that are forest floor dwellers. So they do pretty well.
Yeah,
and we're
awesome.
always tracking their longevity. Kind of to.
I was taking my pictures of them because they have like little stickers on them.
That's so helpful. Yeah. So if you see a numbered butterfly, just take a picture of it, and you can email it to, HMNS. No, I
it
can't
says
think.
on the
I can't.
thing.
Yeah.
It says on the thing. Yeah. It says.
So yeah, you can email it, and that helps us keep track of how long they're living. And it's not just kind of anecdotal, like, oh, how long do they live?
Oh,
we
wow.
really want to know if what we're doing is helping. So, and we try to eliminate certain species that don't do well. So we're not just bringing them in and they're just dying.
Right.
So, and we kind of play around with their nutrition and changing their, supplemental nectar formulas and fruit, and kind of adding in other types of nutrition. And so it's really helpful.
That's cool. Well, Erin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're
this
welcome.
Is really,
it's been fun.
Yeah, this is really fun. And thanks for bringing all your roaches. This one, I'm cool.
Anytime.
That one really freaks me out. I don't know why. It's something, I guess, like psychological or something. But that
I think it's kind of beautiful.
I can see that. I can see, like, I don't know. It's just.
But you're not alone. You're not alone. So just keep broadening your horizons.
Right. Well, thanks again, Erin. Thanks for coming on the show, and make sure you check out their Valentine's Day. It's called Endless Love.
Endless Love.
Endless
yes.
Love. HMNS.org, I think, /.
Endless Love. Yeah.